Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of Your Polyglot Academy. In this new video, I'm going to teach you how to form present perfect in Dutch for every possible verb. Can be weak, strong, separable, modal. It is not important. We covered everything in this video, so please make sure to check out every detail. The present perfect tense in English, for example, I have worked, is much more linked to the present than the Dutch present perfect, ik heb gewerkt. In Dutch, the present perfect is used a lot in spoken language and is mainly used for the narration of completed now recurrent events in the past, often accompanied by words such as gisteren, een maand geleden, vorige week, etc. Here are some examples. Sanne is gisteren naar de markt geweest. Sanne went to the market yesterday. Eric heeft vorige week een nieuwe auto gekocht. Eric bought a new car last week. As you can see in examples, the present perfect tense in Dutch consists of an auxiliary verb, hebben or zijn, to have or to be, and a past participle. In the main clause, the auxiliary takes the second position and the past participle is played right at the end of the sentence. Dutch differs from English right here. In English, the auxiliary and the participle stay closer together, but as you saw, in Dutch the past participle is mainly situated at the end of the sentence. The big question now is, however, how do you form the past participle of a verb? To that, we have to differentiate between weak and strong verbs. We'll start with weak verbs. The past participle of a regular, weak verb begins with ge and ends with t or d. Past participles of verbs with a stem ending in p, t, k, f, s, and g end in t. And those of verbs with a stem ending in soft consonants such as m, n, l, r, b, d, g, v, w, and z ends in d. For instance, if we take the verb werken, which means to work, it has a stem ending in k. So the past participle is going to be gewerkt. Now a few words on spelling. The past participle of a verb with an open syllable doubles the vowel. For example, maken becomes gemaakt. Spelen becomes gespeeld. Then we come to the present perfect of strong verbs. The past participle of a strong verb begins with ge and ends in an n. And in many cases, the stem vowel changes, just as in German. Here are the most frequent changes. I becomes e. For example, kijken, gekeken, snijden, gesneden, blijven, gebleven. And I can become an e. Liggen, gelegen, bidden, gebeden, zitten, gezeten. And I can become an o. Drinken, gedronken. Zingen, gezongen. Beginnen, begonnen. An IE can become an O. Vliegen, gevlogen. Kiezen, gekozen. Schieten, geschoten. A UI can also become an O. Rauken, geroken. Bouwen, gebogen. Schauven, geschoven. And lastly, an E might become an O. So nemen, genomen. Zwemen, gezwommen. Helpen, geholpen. Still, a final question remains. When do we have to use hebben and when zijn? Most of the time, we use the auxiliary verb hebben in the present perfect tense. Only verbs that express motion with a clear indication of going somewhere. For example, fietsen, to bike, rijden, to drive, lopen, to walk, gaan, to go, vliegen, to fly, rennen, to run. And verbs that express a change of condition or substance, smelten, to melt, veranderen, to change, worden, to become. They are the only verbs that take sign in the present perfect. However, there are some exceptions. Some verbs take sign even though they don't necessarily express motion or change. Beginnen, for example, but also stoppen, ophouden, blijven, komen, and gebeuren. Now we come to the present perfect of hebben and zijn. The present perfect of hebben is heeft gehad and of zijn is geweest. For example, Sanne heeft een leuke dag gehad. Sanne has had a nice day. Ze is met Karin naar de stad geweest. She went to town, or she was in town with Karin. However, in Dutch, we often prefer to use the simple past had and was. Now we come to the present perfect of separable verbs. The participle of a separable verb is formed by putting ge in between the prefix and the rest of the verb. So for example, Erik heeft het huis schoongemaakt. Eric cleaned the house. You can see that the verb schoonmaken became schoongemaakt. And otherwise, all other rules for the formation of strong and weak verbs apply. Now we come to the present perfect of inseparable verbs. Verbs with unstressed prefixes such as be, ge, ont, and ver do not form their past participles with ge. Otherwise, all other rules for the formation of strong and weak verbs apply. For examples, Eric heeft de gasrekening niet betaald. Eric didn't pay the gas bill. Hij heeft het deze maand vergeten. He forgot this month. In the end, there are also some irregular verbs that need to be mentioned. Some verbs don't seem to follow either the rules for weak verbs or the rules from strong verbs, or have other irregularities. Brengen, bring, heeft gebracht. Denken, think, heeft gedacht. Doen, heeft gedaan, etc. And in my opinion, it is best to keep a list of irregular and mixed verbs and their vowel changes as you acquire new vocabulary in order to not forget them. And lastly, we come to the present perfect with modal verbs. Sentences with modal verbs from the present perfect with the auxiliary hebben. Neither the modal verb nor the main verb turns into a past participle. Instead, they both move to the end of the sentence and stay in their infinitive form. The infinitive of the main verb always follows the infinitive of the modal auxiliary. For example, Erik heeft de rekening moeten betalen. Eric had to pay the bill. Maar hij heeft het niet kunnen doen. But he couldn't do it. And only modal auxiliaries that can be used independently have a past participle. For example, kunnen, gekund, moeten, gemoeten, willen, gewild, mogen, gemogen. For example, ik heb dat niet gewild. I didn't want that. So this was it for this long video. If you appreciated it, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will see you next time. If you have any questions, please just write a comment and I will check it out. So yeah, that was it for today. Have a nice day.